It's the UFC's pound-for-pound top 15, but not how you might expect. There'll be no room for champions here, folks. These are the 15 fighters who stand above all others, even if they don't have the belt to show for it right now. There'll be some controversy, I'm sure, but without further ado, let's get into it. Number 15, Aljamain Sterling. No, I'm joking. Sorry. Got that out of the way. Continue on. Number 15, Gilbert Burns. First up, it's the former welterweight title challenger, a man who caused Kamaru Usman to have a few dodgy moments early on. Indeed, Gilbert Burns fell victim to the Nigerian nightmare like everyone else before him, but after rebounding with a strong performance and dominating performance against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, as well as having a huge matchup against Khamzat Chimaev ahead of him, you would expect that the winner of that fight will have a major opportunity to jump into a title shot. Don't make the mistake of counting out Burns just yet. Number 14, Jared Cannonier. Middleweight contender Jared Cannonier singled himself out as the next in line for Israel Adesanya, with a truly excellent showcase against Derek Brunson, one that saw him prove his mettle beyond any doubt. As a fresh matchup for the champion, though most are picking Adesanya to take home another comfortable title defense, Cannonier does have a wealth of experience and attributes at his disposal, and after dropping down from heavyweight and then to 205 pounds, and now finally to middleweight, his 5-1 record at 185 pounds does a good job at showcasing a fighter who looks more and more like the finished product. Number 13, TJ Dillashaw. EPO or otherwise, TJ Dillashaw remains a champion at bantamweight who actually never lost his belt, and sure, while his comeback matchup against Corey Sandhagen was a razor-thin victory, do not make the mistake of forgetting just how electric a talent Dillashaw has been over the years. Maybe he's lost a step, perhaps even a split second's worth of speed. Maybe none of this will matter, but for now, his number 2 ranking at 135 pounds and his position as a former divisional king is enough to lock in his 13th place on this list. Can he recapture his belt? It might be a lot to ask of him, but TJ is a live presence in that top 5, that's for sure. Number 12, Dustin Poirier. 2 victories over Conor McGregor and a win over Dan Hooker lie between Dustin Poirier's pair of lightweight title submission defeats, first against Khabib Nurmagomedov and most recently against Charles Oliveira. But I do think that his position on this list reflects the real quality he clearly possesses, and how that places him above his failures of late. Poirier is one of the 4 best lightweights on the planet, and that alone, considering the strength of the division, is worth one hell of a lot. Number 11, Jan Blachowicz. Jan Blachowicz was likely caught off guard as much as the rest of us when the veteran Glover Teixeira managed to fairly handily sweep him to one side to become the oldest first-time champion in the promotion's history. Jan's resurgence and his legendary Polish power saw him defeat some pretty big names, and with an eye on his return against Alexander Rakic, that is a fight that is more than likely going to serve up the next number 1 contender once Teixeira versus Jiri Prochazka is out of the way. Number 10, Stipe Miocic. It is easy to forget sometimes that the legendary Stipe Miocic is still right in the thick of the heavyweight title mix. Personally, although I've heard that a matchup against Tai Tuivasa is being proposed, I'd honestly rather see this former champion get his big money marquee matchup against John Jones, whenever that could happen. Not that I think that Stipe is on a total decline, but with guys like Suriel Gane and Francis Ngannou above him, he'll certainly have his work cut out if he wants to become a 3-time champion. Miocic is already an all-time great, and even if he was nullified and finished by the current champion last time around, he gets into the top 10 on the merits of being just 1 fight removed from his own title reign, as well as his body of work over the last few years. Number 9, Islam Makhachev. Would you consider it controversial to leave Islam Makhachev out of the top 8? Well, if this was a list that was based on pure talent alone, I'd certainly be edging him right into that top 5. But as things stand, with Dan Hooker being his most high-ranked victory, I think we just need to see a bit more from Makhachev. That's not to say that I have doubts. In fact, I think he matches up very well with the current lightweight top 5. But for now, until we get that concrete proof of our suspicions, Islam will have to settle for number 9. On a quick side note, if you're enjoying this content and would like to stay up to date with all of our weekly uploads, make sure you subscribe to the channel now to ensure that you don't miss any of the many Aljamain Sterling jokes that I tend to let slip every month. Also, we recently set up a Patreon account, so if you want to help support the channel, the link is in the description. Number 8, Justin Gaethje. I know a lot of you who regularly watch this channel will know that I clearly gave my pick to Justin Gaethje to get the title shot ahead of Islam Makhachev, based on where they were and what they had proven. Now, a fight between the two, that would be a different story, but with his second crack at UFC Gold signed and sealed, Justin Gaethje will thankfully get another chance to make good on a career's worth of potential, and with one of the best resumes at 155 pounds, if he can win, he will of course make a major surge up the real pound for pound rankings. Number 7, Jiri Prochazka. Perhaps there will be a bit of controversy with my number 7 pick, given his status as a relative newcomer to the UFC. But on the back of the 2 victories he has scored, those stunning stoppages of Volkan Ozdemir and Dominic Reyes, and the sheer commitment to his unique style of fighting that he has displayed, along with the fact that he is the top contender at light heavyweight right now, yeah, I'm putting Prochazka up this high for a reason. Though many of us can certainly see Glover Teixeira's likely path to victory against him, I do have a feeling that the 205-pound division is going to come under new management quite soon. Number 6, Suriel Gane. Look, Suriel Gane may have been edged out by his great rival Francis Ngannou in his first crack at undisputed gold. I don't think there's a heavyweight on the planet right now who poses more of a threat to the champion than he does. A few tweaks here and there will be needed, of course, but Gane has already shown himself to be on Francis's level, and given how young he is in his MMA career, I don't know. I could see myself backing him against the heavyweight king in a rematch, depending on how he looks next time around, what he shows us. These two guys are destined to go at it several times, and I do get the feeling that their first battle was little more than a feeling out process for both men. Number 5, Colby Covington. Just cracking into the top 5 is the 2-time welterweight title challenger Colby Covington, a man who once again doubled down on his status as the second best welterweight on the planet, with a comprehensive victory over his great rival Jorge Masvidal. But even though he has quite ably shared the cage with Kamaru Usman for 2 close 5-round matchups, Colby remains in a pretty undesirable position within the rankings. Some interesting new contenders do look set to emerge within the division over the next year or so for Covington, all he can really do is continue to beat them down one by one in the hopes of luring Usman back into the cage with him. Number 4, Brandon Moreno. You know a trilogy is damn good when there is an immediate demand for a 4th consecutive bout. Now personally, as I outlined in an older video, I think the UFC would be wise to cash in on Brandon Moreno and Deiveson Figueiredo's growing popularity by allowing the division to move once again by setting them up with fresh opponents. But even though Figgy managed to get the better of him last time around, I am quite confident that Moreno deserves his 4th ranking here. Within the flyweight division, he has certainly shown himself to be of that championship level quality. All that remains now is for him to work his way back to the gold strap and prove his greatness. Number 3, Robert Whittaker. Bobby Knuckles recently hinted at a return to the welterweight division, something that, if he can do it correctly, could be a very, very interesting move. But even within the 185-pound title picture, Robert Whittaker is the 1B to Adesanya's 1A, and even that might be a little disrespectful, depending on how you scored that last fight. All I know for sure is that Whittaker is a truly world-class fighter, and a guy who would be 4, maybe 5 title defenses deep if it weren't for the presence of the last stylebender. He's number 3, but I reckon his spot is interchangeable with the next name on our list. Number 2, Max Holloway. Edging Max Holloway ahead of Robert Whittaker was something I did because of his ongoing 2-fight win streak, and because of how damn good he's been looking of late. But even with the closeness of this top 3 in mind, I think there's an argument to be made that Max is the best non-champion in the sport, in terms of his overall skill level. Now, his 2nd place ranking, as you'll soon see, just so happens to be my final pick on where he stands technically as well, but through his narrow loss to Alexander Volkanovski and the instant classics he shared with Calvin Kattar and Yair Rodriguez, this guy is showing us that his improvements are still very much in play. I'm a huge Holloway fan, and you should know that it took something very, very special to knock him off the top spot. Number 1, Petr Yan. And that something very special, of course, comes in the form of Petr Yan, a fighter who I personally think could be the single best mixed martial artist on the planet today. I currently have bantamweight as the greatest division in the sport, and there's just something about Petr Yan's presence in the cage that calls back to those great longtime champions. The Aldos, the GSPs, the John Joneses. He just has that championship air about him, fully aware of the entirety of the 25 minutes that you have to spend in the cage with him. And when he figures you out, his awareness of the physical, the mental, the tactical, it all comes together and allows him to make the gulf in class between you and him quite apparent by the middle portions of the fight. Simply put, he's my number 1, folks, and I expect him to jump off this list and onto the top of the regular pound for pound rankings before too long. But how would your own personal non-champion pound for pound top 5 or even 10 or 15 be laid out? Do let us know your opinions in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and a comment before subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date with all of our latest uploads. Thank you for watching.